The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Good evening. Countdown on to the Scottish Cup final on Saturday. Dunfermline against Celtic. Looking back at the weekend after Celtic won the title. And with us a former Celtic star and a former Hearts star. It's Kevin Kyle from the Maroon Corner and Aiden McGeady. Evening, chaps.
Evening, Paul.
Good evening, Paul.
Aiden, what a weekend.
If you're a Celtic fan, amazing weekend. I mean, look, even from a neutral's point of view, if you're looking on the way the SPFL finished this season, I mean, they couldn't have finished any better way. From a Celtic fan's point of view, you know, the last 10 minutes, very, very nervy, but if I've listened to so many people talk about it, saying that was the best title win in their lifetime. So, no, amazing weekend.
And it just shows you, Kevin, it means so much to Celtic. It means so much to Hearts as well. They came so close and they've been brilliant throughout the season, pipped in the last few minutes.
It's very difficult to take. Those boys will probably never experience anything like that ever again in their careers. But they should hold their heads up really high and be proud of what they nearly achieved. To run the old firm, to split the old firm and to be top of the league since September for that length of time, and then just to lose in the last 5 minutes. Listen, Celtic had a great side at home. They didn't play particularly well in the first half, but Martin O'Neill tweaked a couple of things, changed a few substitutions, and that's a sign of an experienced manager. Hearts didn't really know how to react to that. A great goal by Maida. And then obviously the young boy Callum Osman getting the winner.
And we're going to hear from him very shortly. Listen, we're going to go straight onto the lines. We're going to take calls on 0808 17 17 700. But we're going to Istanbul. Where else to be tonight? Because a Scot will be leading out Aston Villa in the Europa League final. It's unbelievable. John McGinn will be leading them out soon. And on the line, Stephen McGinn. Stephen, good afternoon, good evening.
Evening, Paul. Evening, Aiden. Kyle.
How you doing, Steve?
You all right, mate?
Stephen, how is it? How are you feeling now? How long to go until kick-off?
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock local time here, so obviously 8 o'clock back home, so we've got a couple of hours to go. Just kind of having dinner, stuff like that with the family, and it's a weird feeling. You feel like in there, like your family members on the verge of creating history at such a big club, and there's just a nervous atmosphere around it, because you know, they're going as a favourite, probably the bigger side, but we all know in finals anything can happen.
How's John feeling then? He's on. I mean, the transformation in Villa since he came back after injury has been evident for everybody. How's he feeling today?
I've not directly spoke to him. It's not something I've ever really done before. Big games, I've tried to kind of stay away. It's part of part of being a footballer. You deal with it and you deal with your own head. I think he's banging form. There's been seasons before where, in theory, he's completed 65, 70 games, and it's great. Actually, his injury, which at the time and probably wasn't great, but it's worked out brilliantly in terms of coming back from some of these big games. I think he's banging form, couldn't be in better form. He's playing the football of his career, so we believe in him, obviously. I think he's a big game player, and we're expecting another good performance from him. People
are so proud of him, aren't they, Aiden? The way John has done. We'll talk Scotland in a moment or two, but to be in the final tonight against Freiburg, what do you want to say to Stephen?
No, listen, Stephen, you must be really proud. Of course, it's one of your closest allies of your whole life, and leading out his team in a European final. It's, like you said, on the verge of making history. But I think it's like John's story's been absolutely amazing. It's one of the ones I go back to where Celtic missed a trick by not signing him. But for how well that he's done down there, I mean, I think I remember playing against him when he was at Villa. On the end of a couple of spankings, right enough. But he's done absolutely fantastic down there, and absolutely delighted for him. And I wonder how, because I actually played under Unai Emery, but the difference as well that he's made to this Villa team since he took over. I think he's one of the top managers. And look, I'm very, very excited for the game tonight. I think he did say anything can happen in European finals, but I'd be very surprised if he's not up in the podium collecting that silverware.
Stephen, John, your wee brother, clearly loves working under Unai Emery. He's always said that. You've said it on this programme as well.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, he's such a top manager. I actually read something. Ezri Konza had put something out about the season in terms of the way it started. Obviously not winning, not scoring in the first 5 or 6 games. and kind of ends up in some sort of title charge at Christmas, and then resulting in a European final. But he just spoke about total belief in Unai Emery, and I think no matter how big a player you are, how good a player you are, sometimes the leader, having been there and done it, is such a big thing. And I'm probably there, come here tonight thinking, if there isn't another manager in the world you want to be in a Europa League final than Unai Emery, in terms of having trophies in the bag, been there, done it, preparation, everything that comes with it.
That's what I was actually going to say, Stephen, as well, because
my full faith is in him.
Sorry to interrupt you there, but before he came to, when I was at Spartak, he'd already won the Europa League, I think, and then he got sacked from us and then won 3 on the bounce with Sevilla.
That's right. Yeah.
Didn't he? Won 3 in the
serial
bounce.
winner. Yeah.
Serial Europa League winner, so that's what I'm saying. I'd be surprised if he's not adding to that collection tonight.
Well, it's funny because I think I've told Paul this story. It was a couple of years ago. Villa had qualified for Europe for the first time, and went into the training ground with the kids. And John, he was going to get his boots for a Scotland trip, and Unai Emery was actually there just watching a game from the weekend, which was done. They'd won. They'd achieved everything they could have, and he's watching the game back on the bike. And I was like to John, "Were you expecting him?" And he said, "Absolutely not. There's no way." But he has transformed Villa in an unbelievable way. John said when he first came in, he spoke about not wasting time. We're going to win trophies. We're going to finish high. And he said to me privately, he's like, "There's no way we could go from." I think when he took over, Villa were in the relegation zone. Steven Gerrard had just lost his job. He says, "There's no way we're going to win trophies in the next year or two." He's talking about doing it next year, and it was just a mindset change that his kind of unbelievable attitude, mentality, and here you are a few years later in the Europa League final.
Kevin?
Well, I listened to you, Stephen, this morning on another radio station very, very early, and you said
That was Paul.
Was that Paul?
What was Paul saying?
Might have been John.
I know. Listen,
up that early.
Kevin Kell listens to Classic FM. There's the news.
There's that many McGinns,
So
man.
what did he say?
No,
Yeah.
his brother Paul was saying that as much as he's excited looking forward to the game, he's going to enjoy himself the night. So I was wondering, he's sounding a bit too well spoken to be all right. So no, listen, John McGinn's what would you call it? My kids think he's a Scottish icon, which he definitely is, and they're looking forward to seeing him in the World Cup. So it would be nice for John and you as a family to try and get that trophy in the bag of the night and have a right good celebration in Istanbul. And then hopefully he stays fit and we can get a good run out of him in the World Cup.
But any German team, nobody will take them lightly, and I know Unai Emery won't. John McGinn and his teammates will be the same.
I think that's the difficulty of the night in terms of, I don't think people have a lot of expectation tonight. But I think the way Villa's playing, especially their semi-final performance, I would say that's probably one of the best games John's played. I think against Nottingham Forest, I thought he was outstanding that night. And if that kind of level performance from Villa tonight, we'll see them probably win the Cup, I think, quite comfortably. But Cup finals, you can't take anything for granted.
What's the atmosphere like, Stephen, in Istanbul? Is the whole of, or half of Birmingham and the West Midlands there?
It's been really, honestly, it's been raining all day, torrential all day. So everyone's just been packing into pubs, and it's the closest pub you can get to and get watered. Obviously, that you were heading into. But I spoke to John. There's obviously an expectation. I'm saying, what should we expect from Freiburg? What you're kind of preparing for? And he said, we are preparing as if we're playing Brentford. In terms of that kind of man-for-man system off the ball, they're going to go man-for-man. They're going to be really physical and play on set plays. So I think there's that bit of, because as a Scottish point of view, you're kind of thinking, is this going to be Eintracht Frankfurt? And if Villa play well, will they blow them away from a few years ago? And he's saying, no, we have to be bang at it because they can smother you. And if the game gets away from you, then we'll lose because they're really good at what they do. Obviously, they play against Bayern Munich, but Borussia Dortmund this way, and they can knock them out their stride. So he's expecting a really tough game, but he knows that if they play well, that they can bring a trophy home.
And what it would mean for everybody, for you, the family, and for John, because Aston Villa is a bigger club than most people realise in Scotland, but we know they haven't won. They won the League Cup in '96. 30 years ago, and they won the European Cup. I can remember, it was like 82, early 80s, they won it, but a long, long time ago. They couldn't spend as much as they would want to because of the financial penalty rules, and there must be a real feeling with Unai Emery. This means everything to win tonight.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's probably for John's journey at Aston Villa, because it's been, I mean, everything on the face of it seems to have gone so well for John, but there's been really tough times. Obviously under Steven Gerrard's reign, when he got named captain, people were very critical. I mean, he was going through a really tough period, and it has been tough period between that and injuries, and this for John would be the icing on the cake of what's been an amazing journey, and to get his hands on the trophy as a club captain at Aston Villa, obviously for the first time in 30 or 40 years, a European trophy would be everything, and it's what we've been reminded of. The problem for us is I can kind of go incognito. Paul looks like John. So when Paul's with us, you can't really escape that you're John's family. So we've been reminded all day of John's part of it and what people will think of him, and even more so if he gets his hands on the trophy.
Is your dad, is he in good form? My brother Frank always listens in. I know they taught together, so good luck to Stephen, Mary and everybody there. They're a wonderful family. I think you all know the McGinn family. I saw some of them at the Football Writers, the Player of the Year the other night. But you'll all be over there now. I normally ask you for a prediction. I'm not going to do that. I know we think it will be Villa tonight. We hope it. Celebrations, you're going to stay on tomorrow? What's the plan? Because I realise it's so late tonight by the time the game finishes. Yeah,
so obviously the game will due to finish at midnight tonight, local time. Obviously into the early hours if it goes to extra time and penalties. We are flying back to Birmingham at 8 o'clock, and all going well, there'll be a parade in Birmingham tomorrow with the trophy, and we'll be there for the tomorrow
good celebrations then.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Aidan, wishing them all the best. Kevin?
Yep. Definitely. I hope they get to celebrate well.
I hope it does. That'll be an amazing experience.
Fantastic. And Stephen, we'll speak to you soon during the summer, because we want to talk, before you go on holiday, about the end to the season. Falkirk, what a year it's been for you as well. Looking forward to the World Cup, but I know you're there. You're with the family. I really appreciate you coming on here, the Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas. Will you come back on soon?
Yes, absolutely. Cheers, guys. Have a good show.
Cheers,
enjoy yourself.
Thanks, Stephen.
Good luck.
Cheers.
So that's funny. He says Paul looks more like John. It's amazing, isn't it? A Scot. I mean, would we... Callum McGregor, obviously a Scot. I'm just thinking if Rangers were in it. There hasn't been a Scot for some time. Will there be next season? Hearts.
Who would
the
be
captain
the
is Scottish, of course. Yeah.
Who would be the last Scot to win?
It's a good question, isn't it?
To lift a European trophy.
Yeah.
And Andy Robertson.
Andy Robertson. Well, indeed.
But
at Liverpool.
Possibly as captain.
At Liverpool, yeah. All right.
Willie Miller.
08, 08, 17, 17, 700. Yeah. Tell you very shortly.
Have you got it?
No. I'm just thinking about what's coming up next. But great to hear Stephen there in Ista. Do you know, I checked the weather because I was going to say it must be boiling, and I saw the temperatures. It's like 18 degrees.
That's probably perfect though for football.
Of course, yeah, it doesn't do any harm for them. So Freiburg against Aston Villa tonight. What's happening back here? I see Hearts have issued a statement this afternoon. Still not happy. Well, you wouldn't be happy, would you? Of course not. Losing. 250 days at the top of the table. It's been an amazing story, Hearts. All credit to them. But there's a statement, if I can find it, from Hearts. I've got it here, which came out this afternoon. Still not happy about it. They're saying how proud they are of their players. But as previously noted, they say the club is investigating events before, during and after the game and will offer Police Scotland our full support. I've also written to the SFA and the SPFL setting out our observations and questions regarding the circumstances surrounding the premature ending of the match, because the game did, I think, technically end. The ball went in, it was 8 minutes added on. Most of it was because of time wasting during the game. Most of it, mainly by Hearts, I would say.
That's one thing I think that not a lot of people spoke about, because there was a lot of time wasting going on, and you understand that.
It's part of the game.
It's part of the game. I mean, Hearts in a winning position.
Yeah.
I mean, I was even I would remember looking at time wasting in the first half.
Yeah.
When they were 1-0 up.
Yeah.
Which, again, understand that you need a draw to win a title, but that's been swept under the carpet a little bit.
I think Hearts would have been really... Celtic fans in general, obviously they wanted to win it, but many Celtic fans thought Hearts are going to win it. Anyway, back to the Hearts statement. So they're saying, we're expressing our concern that a troubling precedent has been set whereby a pitch invasion can effectively determine the duration of a football match rather than the match officials. We've asked them for a prompt response to the points we've raised. The incursion of fans onto the field of play must never be condoned. Absolutely, in any circumstances, and the seriousness of the potential consequences must be fully understood by supporters and club alike. And I heard a clip from Tony Bloom, of course, who invested heavily in Hearts last summer. He said it's a devastating weekend for the players. Of course it is. Your minutes from winning the title for the first time in 66 years. But on it, he said one or two players were assaulted, and that's being investigated now. Does he mean verbally, physically? Because the fans should not have been on. But the Celtic fans were booing the hundreds of Celtic fans who'd come on. Absolutely. Mindless. They shouldn't be on the pitch. But the police will be looking at it, and if action has to be taken, it does. But, wow, it's the statement from Hearts. It's going on and on and on. It can't be good for the game. And there were seconds to go. I mean, I heard Martin Neal saying 8 seconds. I think it was 30 seconds. So they played 97 minutes and 30 seconds when the ball hit the back of the net. So it was 3-1. Kevin, you're a former Hearts player. You're always really, really fair. What do you feel about Hearts' grievance?
I can understand it because it's like a bit of grief.
Yeah.
You're hurting inside, and everything that's happened after the game, the pitch invasion, whether the referees blew the whistle or not blew the whistle, I think that's been made fairly clear. I think he's just said, like, John Roberts has got them off the park, and that said that's the game ended. This idea of assault and players, there's different types of assault. There's verbal, like you said.
Yeah.
There's physical. There's videos circulating out there that show an incident with one player that's alleged that player was attacked. It may look the other way. But in that heat of the moment, the players, for me, I don't know how you react to that, because you're absolutely devastated at losing potentially the league title. Celtic fans have run on. You're annoyed with them. You want off the park, but at the same time, you're still grieving. And ultimately, obviously, the Hearts are alluding to there that there's somebody's.
I'll read this part of it, Kevin. Yeah, this is what they've said in it. I should have said that. We're aware of highly irresponsible comments made publicly this week, which appear to seek to defend those who entered the pitch on Saturday and undermine the gravity of the situation. Those remarks carry dangerous implications. We call upon the football authorities to ensure the matter is addressed with the seriousness it demands and with the full cooperation of all involved. We don't want to speculate about what they're saying, because they have to say it. Well, who is it they're calling out?
They're obviously talking about the Celtic manager, Martin O'Neill, with some of his comments. I think it's a really difficult one to comment on, because had Celtic won the league 6 games ago, or Hearts had won it 6 games ago, we don't have the situation we have on Saturday. But for the first time in maybe forever, we have a game of football with a title at the end of it, and the title disappears from one club with 3-4 minutes to go. We have to obviously go back in history. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. We look at Celtic and Rangers at the beginning of the season. We could even go further back to when I think Neil Lennon was attacked at Tynecastle.
Kev, that's what I was just going to say. So see if you flip it right, and this game's at Tynecastle and Hearts win the league. Are there no Hearts fans going on the pitch?
I'll be honest with you, Aiden. See if I was playing with Hearts in, I remember scoring the 86-minute winner against Hibs, and fans didn't come on the park. But see if that game against Hibs was a title decider, I can guarantee you when I would run in that pitch, they fans would have jumped on there, because that emotion, you don't get that emotion very often. In fact, it'll be like it'll be the same chances of a kid making it as a footballer as having that emotion, the situation Hearts had, because that comes round every 100 years, whatever it may be. Yeah. So nobody knows what they would do, and people can say, "Oh, Celtic's been used to winning titles." It doesn't matter how many titles you win.
Not in that way.
That way is totally unique. Think of Man City when they won the Aguero thing. Of course,
Aguero.
The emotion in the fans in the stand. I think it's very, very difficult to comment on both situations, because until you're put in that situation, you're never going to know what you will actually do, because of the magnitude of the emotion.
And on the Martin O'Neill one, if it was the interview in TalkSport, Jim White did brilliantly to get Martin on, but when the word tainted was used, I'd have to hear it all back. But when that was used, Jim's a brilliant journalist. He is a friend of mine. But if that was said, Martin O'Neill kind of had to be defensive. It wasn't, I think we'd have to look at the context again, but that's their business. But for Hearts then to say it, look, if players were assaulted and what is an assault, then evidence will come up. And nobody should be in the pitch, right? We know that, but it does happen too often in different places. And I think Martin said, "What, has this never happened anywhere else?" And Aiden, so what was your reaction?
I think, look, I think Hearts have to release a statement. I think they have to be seen to be addressing it. But I kind of want to unpack it a wee bit.
Yep.
What the Hearts want from this? What do they want to happen? Do they want people charged? Do they want Martin O'Neill brought up in front of the Scottish Football Association for his comments on TalkSport? And also then it goes to the time issue as well, saying that a pitch invasion to decide the time of the game. It's 3-1. It's 3-1 in the 97th minute with 32nd. 98th minute. Yeah. What did they want, an extra 2 minutes, thinking that could have stopped us from winning the title? Look, we all agree, fans running on the pitch, there's a small minority of fans going on that there were a lot of Celtic fans who didn't want that either. Yep. But as Kevin says, this is emotion. There's never been, in my lifetime, there's never been a title. I can probably, the only thing I can compare it to is probably Celtic Dundee United when I was playing. Uh-huh. And I'm pretty sure fans came on then as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure fans came on the pitch then as well. This is football, it's an emotional game. These things do happen. Like, you don't condone it. Look, and then if you want to talk about verbal abuse, assault, whatever it's going to be, I think that those things will come out if they were to have happened. But again, I've seen some evidence and some footage of things that look completely opposite as to the way they were described. Yeah. Look, I think Hearts are well within the rights to make a statement, but I think aiming it at Martin is quite. I think it's quite poor. Yeah.
I would agree with you. Aye. Name names if that's what you mean, and you have to hear the context of the interview if that's what it is. But look, in general, sometimes you've got to say, look, it's such a passionate game. You two have played, so what do we know? But I was there. I was at the game. The Celtic fans were roundly booing.
I seen you on actually.
Did you? Yeah.
No, I seen you on the pitch.
On the pitch, that's I mean, it's ridiculous. So everyone would say that. Martin O'Neill, I can't speak for Martin O'Neill, but it was the context of it. And I think the backdrop to the whole thing, everyone was saying, lots of them were saying, oh, this means so much to Hearts, as if it didn't mean anything to Celtic.
See for me, if you're a fan of any football club, and that happens to your football club, you want the manager to come out and back the fans, don't you? You do. Like if that is the Hearts fans going to the pitch and Derek McInnes comes out and has the same response as Martin O'Neill, the Hearts fans agree with him. Of course, you don't want Martin. Martin knows exactly what he's got here and knows exactly what he's done for the club, and feels a loyalty towards the fans as well. He's not going to throw fans under the bus when they've just won a title and everybody's emotional, everybody's happy. I think if you put it the other way, I think most managers would do the same thing.
And Celtic did apologise then after the game. There was an apology. Afterwards, on I think Saturday night that came. So whatever way you cut it, Celtic have won the league. 82 points, Hearts on 80. They contributed so much, they lost. And it's just such a pity at the end, because actually it was all over after a couple of minutes. It shouldn't have happened, but actually the Hearts fans could, I'm sure, the fans who were there, 752 of them, I'm sure the players could have come back out. There wasn't a kind of mass hysteria in the ground. Celtic fans were loving the fact they'd won. A number of them came on, they shouldn't. There's questions in it, but what went on with the stewarding or the policing? But these things should be looked at. But just a knee-jerk reaction of some of the statements that have come out, some of the narrative.
What do Hearts want to happen?
Well, that's a great question.
What do they want to happen?
We'll ask that. We'll ask Hearts. What would they like to happen? It's a great point. If it was 2-1, you could say, well, we want another minute added, and they could have scored. I mean, they had the free kick moments before. I think the fact as well, it was 2-1. They might have equalised, in which case they would have won the league. I don't think there'd been any issue. This is conjecture. And then Celtic go up and score. Not even the keeper's there, and you can understand why he was up to try and get the equaliser. And Callum Osman puts the ball in the back.
Remember that exact incident as well, though, where someone from Hearts had the ball, and I was like, if I'm a Hearts fan, you need to get the ball in the box, and then they get the free kick. But I'm like, 10 seconds, 15 seconds before, you've got a minute left to try and get an equaliser. So, listen, on the pitch, that's game management. I don't think was great from Hearts, but the rest of it is all. We're going to be speaking about this for the next couple of weeks, aren't we? We're
going to hear from Callum Osman shortly. I mean, what an afternoon for him. He says he was about to go for the loo. He needed the loo, and then Martin O'Neill said, you're on. So, quick break. We're going to take some of your calls. 08 08 17 17 700.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
And the World Cup is round the corner. Yesterday we got the squad. We'll talk about it with Aiden McGeady and with Kevin Kyle on the programme tonight. Lots of calls coming in. 08 08 17 17 700. Callum Osman, what a moment for him, Aiden, coming on and scoring that, the one that just sealed it right at the end.
Listen, fantastic impact he made. And I think that goes to show the kind of the game management of the success that Martin's had, of the impact that the subs have made through the last 10, 11 games. I don't think there's been a greater impact from substitutes in my time of watching football, if I'm being totally honest. Ian Archer I thought was fantastic when he came on as well. Like Martin tweaking the shape too. But Callum Osman, I know he's had a tough time with injury, but like the last game he played was the Rangers game, wasn't it?
Yes. And the injury.
Yeah, and he got injured, a bad hamstring injury, I think. But to come on without having played, really, I think he's played a couple of B team games that I've seen, but to come on and have that impact. Again, a player that I was unsure of at the start of the season because I know he signed on a kind of would you call him a developmental signing? Because I think expected to be on the fringes of the first team, but the impact that he's had since Martin took over, because remember before that he wasn't really getting a look in, or wasn't even making the bench. But Martin's seen enough from him in training, and obviously is trusted them enough to put him on in a couple of big games, and the impact he's had has been phenomenal.
He spoke a bit about what happened on Saturday.
Yeah, if I'm honest, when I first came up, I didn't realise how big of a club Celtic actually is, and then when you're up here, you just realise it's a whole new world, and it's another level up here. I don't think there's probably not a bigger club in the world in terms of like just everything, and it's very full on, and you sort of have to take it like by the scruff of the neck, otherwise you're gonna sort of like drown in a sense. But no, it's an amazing club, and it's I just love being there.
And on that goal,
I think the first couple touches I was sort of I thought there was a keeper still in goal, because I never saw. I think I was speaking to Cal when the keeper was coming up into the box, so I never actually realised that there was a keeper in goal. So I'm thinking about the sweaty, I'm going to have to make sure I get this right. But as soon as I got a bit closer, I looked up and I was like, oh, there's no keeper. And it's just a joyful moment.
Kevin, a dream for a striker or a nightmare in case you trip up?
No, I think
running for the halfway lane, and that's a scary one, isn't it?
I would have probably ran it even further in the box just to make sure. But no, listen, for the young kid, like I say, his injuries and the game time that he's actually had at Celtic since he came up has not been huge, but his impact's been huge. He came on and straight away Celtic managed to break away, and he was 1-on-1 with the Hearts defender. And see, when you actually watch that back in slow motion, I think he was fouled.
He actually was. I know it. Like it looked on the camera like yeah, but he actually gets the ball round him, doesn't he?
He actually takes the ball past him and then gets fouled. So again, if I want to talk about decision making stuff, if that goes too far, then that's a red card. Hearts are down to 10 men. You know what I mean. So you have to call these things out. Then he makes a great run for the second goal from Sarachi's pass in between the gaps. Good ball across with the left foot, and then obviously to get that reward, because that could have been any of the three of them. And then obviously to finish it off, what a memory that's going to live with him forever. But no, I think this kid has got. You can see that Martin saw something in him. I think he's got bags of pace. So it's now up to him what he does through the summer in a pre-season. Can he force him way himself into the first team and be a regular? That's going to be a big ask, because Celtic will strengthen in the striking department. They have to, because they don't have much on offer there. So the young boy's going to have to really work hard and cement a place in that first team and make it his own. But so far, so good. And wish him all the best for that.
If you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, you can see a miniature replica of the Scottish Cup here with the Dunfermline colours and the Celtic colours on it. It's with Scottish Gas, and if you're going to the game, you're going to get miniatures with plastic cups where you can get some water or tea. I think it's a cup of tea. I think that's a tea in the cup. I'll explain it better shortly.
So everybody's going to be carrying them about.
I think so. Tiny one. I think you're going to get paper ones, better for the environment. I didn't think I'd be talking about Tonda Eckert, because obviously it came in last night about Southampton. Kevin's on, a big Celtic fan. Hi, Kevin. Good evening.
How you doing, boys? How you doing, Aiden? Good, Kev. How are you?
How you doing,
Kev?
Kev?
Right,
Living the dream, those two. Kevin's in his training gear because he was at football earlier on. He needed a referee for the next one tonight, but he has got one. I think Aiden's off to training as well. Kevin, why we mentioned the Southampton manager?
Well, I was on here a couple of weeks ago, Paul, if you can remember, and I had said that if we couldn't get the boy from Motherwell, and it looks like Toulouse have already had put in an official bid, that I'd said that it might be a bit pie in the sky, because Southampton probably, I think they've been promoted now to the Premier League, but I would love to have got Tonda Eckert. I've been watching Southampton, the style of football they play, the goals that they score, and it looks like there's a bit of controversy down there. I think some of his staff are hiding in trees watching training sessions or something. Yep. And it looks like there's some calls for him to get sacked, and I was just wondering, do you think if the boy lost his job, even though it was through controversial circumstances, if we couldn't get the boy from Motherwell, would Tonda Eckert be a good signing for us? I certainly think it would be.
All right, Kevin.
Okay. A great job there.
Kevin Kyle.
I think I can definitely see why you've put that scenario together, because Southampton have been slow starters at the beginning of the season, but they've come on a great run. And like you say, the style of play, it's possession based, but they have guys like Ross Stewart up front, who you would say is probably like more like not an old-fashioned target man, because he scores goals, but he's got that mix of variety. But I don't know if he'd be the right fit here. Imagine him sending maybe Stevie Woods to the Woods at Murray Park, watching Rangers free kicks and corners. I don't know if that would work. But no, listen, I think that's Celtic have to look at all options on the table. Obviously, I would imagine that Martin O'Neill will probably have a conversation soon enough to see what the story is there. But if not, then Celtic need to look at all avenues, and there's no reason why his name can't be thrown in the hat because of the way that he plays his team. And where he's got Southampton too, obviously there would be a huge question mark in terms of his decision making to send somebody to watch the other team. That's huge.
Aiden, what's your thinking?
Look, I think it's, as Kevin said there, I think it's a viable option for Celtic, but that's only if the aforementioned does happen at Southampton. I read somewhere that the owner was very unhappy with the. I mean, I don't think it's ever been done before, has it? Where a team is banned from the playoff final.
Never. But
from the job that he's done when he took over, because I think Will Still was in charge there before, wasn't he? To take them kind of on the brink of the relegation zone to, challenging for, before obviously last weekend's events, getting to the brink of the Premier League. He's done an amazing job, but I do feel it's maybe just a wee bit early for him. Maybe just a wee bit early, because I was just looking at his record there. And he was a Southampton under-21s coach before he took over. Right. So he's only had 6 months as a manager. But look, I totally understand why you'd be putting him forward, Kevin, because he is a young up-and-coming manager. But it all depends on what happens with Martin. I don't think there's been a conversation yet, judging by his comments the other day.
Are you surprised?
I'm surprised, but I think it will happen. But I don't know if Martin's been slightly coy there in terms of they maybe have had the conversation. He's just... Possibly, they maybe have had the conversation, but he might not want to stay on. Just reading between the lines on the things that he said, talking about his age and how stressful it is. And I mean, Martin's 74, but look.
And you know who said something similar? A 37-year-old, Danny Rule. He said, I think the words, I've got it here. He said, bit tired at the end of the season. I'm going to regroup. I'll be back full of energy. How did you feel after it on Saturday? I've been saying that to people. It was a kind of exhausting day. Now, I don't know, but I would have thought surely you've got a hotline to Dermot Desmond.
No, I do not. I wish I do.
You
not
must have.
How dare
Come
you?
on, the connections.
I wish I did.
Yeah.
No,
but
I don't.
Look, surely Martin. How can they not say to Martin, do you fancy it next season?
I think they have to. Yes. But I think a lot of that will be decided on Martin's frame of mind. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If anything, Martin's been out of management for a good while before he took over the first time. To then, if anything, I thought the game on Saturday might have got his bug back, to go, I actually want to do this again. But Martin's done it all before, and look, I think to potentially leave Celtic the way, the way that he's left the club, his legacy. I'm talking about building a statue and all that, but his legacy to come in at the Celtic's time of need this season, which is I've never seen before, to then have that record to win the league and the circumstances that he did it in, and then a potential of a Scottish Cup final. To leave on that note would be, I think, a perfect way from ending his Celtic career.
Kevin Kell, you said earlier about the tactical side of it, and this is interesting because Danny Rule in at Rangers, Derek McInnes also a great coach as well, but it was Martin O'Neill, whatever age he is, that outthought, and that changed the subs going to 3 at the back. That made a difference.
I think the game on Saturday, you could evidently see that Hearts maybe had a game plan in terms of maybe leaving Trusty on the ball quite a lot, because he was slow in possession. Celtic maybe didn't have enough runners off the ball, and then obviously Martin's looking at it with 20 minutes to go, thinking we need something here. So he's in a natural come on first, then he's put on Callum Osman, made the decision to go 3 at the back, which then allowed an extra player in the midfield, an extra player up front. So then Hearts didn't really adapt to that, and that's what then caused. Listen, I think on Saturday, if you're going to really be brutally honest about the substitutions and the tactical part of it, it was the desire from Sarachi to get on the ball and make things happen, which have evidently eventually led to Celtic getting opportunities. But But again, Martin O'Neill had. It's a different scenario for Martin O'Neill and Derek McInnes here, because Martin O'Neill has to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Derek McInnes just needs to draw, or so it's a different dynamic.
Yeah.
So Martin O'Neill can throw the dice and take the gamble, whereas Derek McInnes is sitting there being coy. Right, we'll just kind of keep the six, because they really played well in the first half in terms of out of possession, keeping Celtic at bay quite comfortably. But Martin O'Neill, 74 years old, as a player, won a couple of European Cups, as a manager at Celtic, first time done amazing. He knows football. He knows the game inside and out. And I think I heard an interview where he said he was feeling rejuvenised and that about it. So if that opportunity come to take Celtic next season, I think he'd find it very difficult to say no.
And he gave full credit to the younger people around him, Sean Maloney, and the other coaches, that Fozzie, who's there, Stephen McManus.
I think when Martin gave me my debut as an 18-year-old, and I played under Martin for a couple of seasons, and I played under him with Ireland. And Martin has always been that kind of figure who motivates and can get players playing, and has that mentality, and gets players to really, really want to play for him and run through walls for him. And evidently that's what he's done at Celtic. But I do think football has moved on a lot in the last 10, 15 years, where there's a lot more analysis, a lot more. I mean, we never really spoke about shape back in the day, did we? You never really spoke about shape and formations.
Didn't do your career any harm, did it?
I kind of seen both sides of the spectrum. Where I broke through as a young player towards the end of my career, I seen it where it was massive in football. So that's why I think Martin did need younger guys like Sean. Yeah. Sean's very big on that, and then obviously he's got Steve McManus and Mark Fotheringham, but people who've played for the club as well, who understand it, which I think is really, really important. And I think that's one thing that Martin has been amazing at adapting to, and evidently, like the success that he's had. I mean, you go back to the point in Wilfred Nancy. If you just let Martin take the team for them, miss Wilfred Nancy's tenure out, give Martin the job from then to the end of the season, Celtic win the league by 13 points.
Sure. And there wouldn't have been all the controversy at the weekend. It's a problem that Rangers would like to have. We will talk Rangers as well, because Jim Gillespie's been speaking. Andrew Kavanagh spoke the other day. But you talked there about the spine, the Scottish, or the UK element, of who know what the football clubs are about, and Rangers are looking for that for next season. Kevin, thanks so much for your call, but it's a good suggestion there. I think Celtic, surely they'll make some kind of. They can't wait till after. He's either going to be offered it or not. It's not on the Scottish Cup final, is it? Surely he deserves to be either offered it or not before the game. Maybe he has been, as Aiden said.
Historically, Celtic are the best at leaving everything last minute. Whether that be a transfer window, signing players.
Best or worst?
They've won the worst for doing it. But the reality is, I would hope that they would have it wrapped up soon in terms, because they need to plan for next season. They've got a lot of incomings and a lot of outgoings, and they need to get the squad and everything ready for the new season.
0808 17 17 700.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
Well, indeed, that's why a replica. I don't think we could call that a replica, but we have here, if you're watching on YouTube, and if you aren't, if you're going to the match of the weekend, Celtic and Dunfermline fans, you'll be issued with for cups of tea, apparently, Kevin, which maybe you have at games. Cups of tea there in the Scottish Cup. We
Irish coffee,
paper ones, or that as well could be. Yeah,
Irish coffee.
What a game it's going to be. Are you conflicted here? Neil Lennon up against Martin O'Neill. Looking forward to the game, though.
Yeah, I'm actually going to the game. Right. I wanted to go to the game on Saturday because I feel like I need to start taking my kids more to watch more football.
Right? Yeah.
But I'm going to the game on Saturday.
Okay.
I had a communion actually on Saturday, so I actually missed. I couldn't go to the game, but obviously watched it. But yeah, looking forward to the game on Saturday. I do think it will be conflicting, because you obviously want to see Lenny do well, but never take a trophy away from the club you support. So yeah, I'll quietly confident I think Celtic will win.
Scottish Cup. It's always a special day, Kevin, isn't it? There's something magic about that old trophy.
There's a lot of history there. I'm actually going to the game myself.
Are you? Good.
I am.
Yeah.
Where
aren't you sitting?
Yeah.
You doing the radio or something?
No,
tell him nothing.
No,
Yeah.
my side stand upper, I think it is.
Oh, he's in the posh seats.
Is it? Somebody offered me 2 tickets,
Great.
and my son Harry supports Celtic, so I'm going to take Harry. But no, the Scottish Cup. It's not that I was not fortunate enough to get a good run in the Scottish Cup. My time playing in Scotland, but no, it's an iconic trophy. Obviously, at the weekend, I think Celtic might be too strong, but what an amazing journey for Neil Lennon and Dunfermline to get there.
It certainly is. Martin O'Neill's been speaking about the cup final.
I really looking forward to it now. Absolutely, yeah. It's a chance for us to try and win, and a chance for Lennon. I think that I watched them last night as well too. So that's very difficult for the side in the first division to try and get through, isn't it? A lot of matches, but he's done wonders at Dunfermline. I just don't want him to do wonders next week, but we'll go as strongly as we possibly can.
Another kind of fairy tale, isn't it? Neil Lennon up against his old gaffer,
The Apprentice.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Here's Martin O'Neill at full time speaking about this season for him and for Celtic like no other.
It really is a massive effort, because you step into the football club. Brendan resigns, so I go. Then I realise that there's a lot of disharmony in the club for all sorts of reasons, which no point in going into today. And you come home and you think you've put whatever games I had in charge, kind of steadying the ship, and Wolford comes in, which is fine. Just didn't get to grips early enough with it, and then I come back again, and then again disharmony. Throwing the tennis balls onto the field. And the most important thing to me in recent weeks was this coming together. And that, to me, Celtic Park, in the last couple of games that we've been here, is reminiscent of the Celtic Park I always knew.
And the job that he's done has been phenomenal, hasn't it? Bringing the fans together. Now, it may be temporary, but they have to try and get it sorted. Will he be there next season? Remember, this was Saturday after the game.
I've just spoken to Dermot Desmond there, and he didn't indicate otherwise, so... I genuinely, Robert, I would imagine so. Yeah.
Aiden, Bertolascu has been in the sights as well. Apparently, I think many people on the board like him. Robbie Keane's name's been mentioned. I know we've said this before. Toulouse are in for Bertolascu. We'll find out soon if he goes.
I think that was always the worry for anyone who was really advocating for Bertolascu. The worry is that, is Celtic a big enough pull for him when he's done such a great job at Motherwell? And there likely would have been other offers, which evidently now you're starting to hear rumours of other teams being interested in him. Look, but the people who I'm one, I think he would be a good appointment. That what he's done with that Motherwell squad. Well, speaking last week about it, the players who you wouldn't have expected to be comfortable footballers, he's turned them into that and turned them into a free-flowing, fluid football team. To think what he could potentially do with the Celtic squad. But this was always the worry that would happen when anybody in this league who comes in, they're a bit of an unknown. Like he was a bit of an unknown beforehand. But the job that he's done, there were always going to be other teams interested. But whether or not Celtic are interested in him, or whether or not they've got other candidates in mind, well, remain to be seen.
Kevin, we've got a Rangers fan on the line. Derek. Hi, Derek. Good evening.
Good evening, Paul. Good evening, panel.
Derek, it's yourself.
Can I say, Paul, I'm very saddened to hear about Mike Galloway passing.
Yes.
Very sad at such a young age.
You're absolutely right. I saw that today. He's just, 60 years old. Ex-Hearts, ex-Celtic, international player as well. Mike Galloway played for, I think, 7 years at Celtic. So we're very sorry to hear that at a relatively young age.
I made my point in Mikel Arteta, Paul. Can I say, as much as everybody's probably still hurting and raging, Hearts and Rangers fans, when you really need to draw a line under it now. At the end of the day, they're not going to be a replay, a points deduction, or games abandoned. At the end of the day, Celtic's won it. That is not the outcome I wanted, but at the end of the day, they've won it. It's won over a season, and you really need to draw a line on it. It's now becoming a little bit boring. Like they say, the World Cup will be starting. I hope Scotland get pumped in every game, Paul, but that's for another time.
Oh, Derek, that's right. That's right. I don't get that. Like, we'll get you on about that on another occasion. Right, you're on actually because Mikel Arteta, ex-Rangers.
Do you think we'll ever see another manager being given 6 years before he wins a trophy? Do you think maybe that's a dying breed now, that you'll never ever see that again? Because it did take a long time before he won anything.
I think with Arteta, the difference, the possibly one of the reasons that he got an extended bit of time and a little bit more leeway is he was coming close, wasn't he? You could see he was building something. He took over an Arsenal squad, and I totally understand people talk about some Arsenal fans I think can be slightly deluded at times, but he spent like £1 billion, you know. £1 billion he spent, but he took over an Arsenal squad with a lot of egos, a lot of personalities, a lot of players on big money, and he took a little bit of time to get it right. He has been coming close to Man City in previous seasons, run them very, very close. This season just managed to get over the line. I think 6 years though it doesn't happen in football nowadays, especially Celtic and Rangers. But for all, it's amazing that he's won his title. Arsenal's first since what? 2000 and
that's right. It's
2002.
2002. Yeah. 2004. It's 22 years. 22 years. It is a phenomenal achievement, and he's a former Rangers player. We're always putting the kilt in a story. It's great, Kevin, isn't it? Mikel Arteta, he went in there, sorted out all the big names who were, some of them work shy, and it took time, I agree. Derek makes a good point, but what a success this season.
No, it's outstanding because he was Pep's understudy, so he's obviously clearly learned a lot from the great Pep Guardiola. Going into Arsenal when he did, I think one of the big names he got rid of quite quickly was Patrick Aubameyang, who was a bad egg in the dressing room.
Got rid of Ozil as well.
Ozil. Right. Then he eventually, I think a few years ago, he got rid of the goalkeeper Ramsdale, and everybody was like questioning that decision. Right. Brought in Raya, is it Raya?
Yeah,
Raya, and everybody was like, who's this guy? Yeah. He's probably one of the most accomplished goalkeepers in the Premier League. Aiden touches on it, £1 billion, but that £1 billion is probably put Arsenal globally massively. That'll come back in all sorts of revenues. Winning the league this year last night, and then they've got this Champions League final, and like Aiden says, they've came close a few seasons, and they kept talking about being bottle jobs and what have you, but the Arsenal of the 2000s that I remember playing against, they were like a powerhouse of English football, winning titles along with Fergie, Arsene Wenger and Ferguson.
Of course.
It was constant, and then obviously over time, football's a bit like the weather. It comes in cycles. Like you've had the great Liverpool side in the 80s and stuff, and then you had the Man Uniteds in the 90s and what have you. Then you had Arsenal. Then you've had Man City. Yeah. Then you got a little revival from Liverpool again, but they've then fell back away again. So maybe this is the time that Arsenal they kick on, because there's rumours of Pep leaving.
But Derek will be hoping that Rangers don't have to wait 6 years in a wilderness. That's not going to happen, is it, Derek?
6 months would be good.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to hope not, Paul. But I just don't think he would get that amount of time anymore. I think he was very, very lucky, and if he didn't win it this year, I think he might have been a goner. But it's good to see somebody that's played in Scottish football at one time winning such a big league, and I hope he goes on to win the Champions League. And if everybody enjoys the World Cup, Paul, and who wins it, as long as it's no Scotland. And I'll speak to you in the new season.
Who do you support, Derek?
If I was pushed England, but I don't really bother with it. I wouldn't
stay up watching
games to 2 and 3 in the morning. I wouldn't. It's no something. I wouldn't get excited as if it was Rangers. Put it that way. I wouldn't follow. I don't really follow the international.
Are you Scottish, Derek, or are you balling England, or what? Are we missing something?
No.
I wouldn't stay up and watch England, put it that way. If it was on at a reasonable time, I would maybe watch them, but I wouldn't stay up to 2 and 3 in the morning to watch a game of football, knowing it's not something that incites me, the World Cup.
He's a passionate Rangers fan, but I know we've spoken about it before, and he's like, I don't watch Scotland at all. Listen, the news is next, then we're back after this.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 1717 700. Talking Scottish football first.
We sure are. Hour 2, Paul Cooney here with Kevin Kyle, the former Rangers, Hearts, Scotland, Sunderland, and many other. Kilmarnock, too many to mention, and Aiden McGeady, the former Ireland, Celtic, Spartak Moscow, down south, Everton, Sunderland, Preston North End. I've missed out more, haven't I? And then back up here, Hibs, United,
loan to Sheffield Wednesday,
and Sheffield Wednesday.
Loan to
yeah.
Let's not talk about them.
Yeah. What about Ross Stewart then? Looking at Scotland as well, we know the whole squad. We saw it yesterday. The manager was speaking about it. Ross Stewart was the biggest story, wasn't it? The striker. Mm-hmm. You played alongside him at Sunderland.
Yeah, listen, I'm absolutely delighted for him. He's had a terrible run of it with injuries at Southampton. I spoke to him a while back, and mentally he was a bit all over the place, because it seemed to be that he was coming back and re-injuring his hamstring or getting another injury and been out for another period of time. And he was signed for big money, big money. I think he was at 10, 11 million. Sunderland sold him for. Had a very, very stop-start time at Southampton where fans were questioning the price tag. You know, these things always happen. Made of glass, you know, like a magnet for injuries. But we signed him at Sunderland from Ross County. A little bit raw when he first came in, but see the season we get promoted in League One. It's absolutely fantastic for us. Like exactly what we needed. Like doesn't one of these new? He's a young striker, but doesn't try and overcomplicate his game. Not interested in getting the ball down and trying to take someone on and turn with the ball. Take a touch, lay it out wide, get in the box, chase everything down. Deceptively fast as well. And since he's got back fit, his record at Southampton has been very, very good. So absolutely delighted for him. It's an amazing opportunity for him to be going to World Cup.
Kevin?
Oh, I think, listen, I watched a lot of Sunderland games with big Ross Stewart in it, and I liked him in League One. I liked him in the Championship, but then got the move to Southampton. Aiden said injuries really, really were unlucky for him. But he's come back into the Southampton team recently, and I think he's scored maybe 6 or 7 goals in the last lot of games, and probably been the main reason why Southampton were in the playoffs until they get popped out. But for me, of all the strikers there, Stewart and Shankland would be my two. Yeah. Considering Lyndon Dykes has been around the squad for forever, Shea Adams the same, George Hurst I think's a bit raw. I think he's like a similar type to Ross Stewart, but listen, for me, if I was Steve Clarke and I'm picking a striker for the first game of the season, it would be first game of the tournament, it would be Shankland or Stewart.
If you're going on form as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ross Stewart can do it all. He can hold the balls up, he can run into channels. Like Aiden says, there is a simplicity about his game. Get it wide, get in the box and cause problems, but he just doesn't just score headers. He's got good side foot finishes, he turns with his back to goal and gets shots away. So for me, he's a great opportunity and a great addition to the squad.
Steve Clarke spoke about the striker, Ross Stewart.
Now listen, I think it's a good story. Ross obviously was in my squad a few years ago, showing that he could come up to this level, was good in the squad. And then he's had a terrible run of injury. And then obviously this season, certainly the latter half of the season from January onwards, he's hit a rich vein of form where he's shown that he can score big goals in big games. Probably reference the Arsenal game in the Cup where he shows that he can have an impact on games of that level, which the World Cup will be a very high level as well. He's shown that he can score from the bench, and he's a striker in form, so I decided to add him to the group. Now for Ross, I think it's just form. Like I said, he's been in the group before, so the vast majority of the players will know him. He fitted in the group very well the last time he was in it. It was a few years ago, but he was good within the group, which I put a lot of importance on characters and people within the group, making sure that when you go away, if you're going to be away, hopefully we're going to be away for 4 or 5 weeks, you need good relationships between all the players. It's very important that we have that.
Let's hope so. The countdown is on. Let's go on the lines. Paul is on, a big Rangers fan. Hi Paul, good evening.
Hi guys, thanks for letting me.
Good evening, pleasure. You're on with Kevin Kyle and Aiden McGeady.
Hi Kevin, hi.
How you doing, mate? How you doing, Paul?
No, I was just going to ask Paul. Hiya. There's been a lot of talk, particularly about mentality with Rangers and the leadership group, and there's an opportunity for a big refresh here now, given that Tavernier and there'll be a few others cleared out. My only red flag, I suppose, is Andrew Kavanagh is saying what the fans are saying. We need more leaders and stuff like that. Then apparently, from what I'm hearing on social media, after the Hearts game, Danny Rowe was shouting at Andrew Kavanagh or the board, I need more leaders. But he was coming out and saying to the media, there's nothing about mentality at Rangers. So I was going to ask you guys, Aiden and Kevin has been ex-professionals who are still involved in the game and everything else. What do you mean by mentality? And what do you think Rangers need as mentality? What does that mean? Is it a screamer and a shouter like a Barry Ferguson? Or is it, define to me what's been missing with Rangers with mentality? What do you see?
When you're saying there, you gave an example, a screamer and a shouter like Barry Ferguson. I don't know Barry particularly well. I only know him from being in and around the Scotland squad. But what I would say on your example of Barry Ferguson, when I arrived into the Scotland setup in the early 2000s, Barry Ferguson just commanded respect because of the level of player he was, his mentality to the game, a winner, hated losing. I remember playing for Scotland in that infamous game against the Fairings. We drew 2-2 when Barry and Paul Lambert both scored to kind of get us out of a mire. And I was petrified of Barry Ferguson.
Were you?
Absolutely. And I wasn't the only one, because we absolutely respected him. And all we wanted to do was play well for Barry, because I don't think he was the captain. I think it was Paul Lambert. But he wasn't a screamer in a shower. He just told you, that's not good enough. I need more. And me as a player wanting to learn and improve, I look at him thinking, nah, he's right. Whereas I think that now in that Rangers dressing room, I feel like some players might say some things like that. That's not good enough. And they get questioned. And that's where the mentality side breaks down. You need players in there that can lead by example. And I'm not convinced that Rangers have those players that are leading by example. So when you're talking about mentality, that's what I see mentality as. I'm unsure. Aiden would obviously maybe have a different point of view, but most of the really, really good players I played in the dressing room with that were leaders and a great mentality were players that other players wanted to follow.
Aiden?
I was actually going to ask you that. I don't want to interrupt you. Why did you respect Barry Ferguson?
Because of his career.
Right, so but I think, looking from the outside, I never played with Barry, played against him. I think it's because standards.
Aye.
It's standards. Mentality for me is standards. It starts with standards and then it breeds into winners. So mentality for me are people who can win. So you talk about screaming and shouting. I don't think Callum McGregor is really renowned for screaming and shouting. He leads by example, as Kevin says. Players who understand what it takes to win. I think mentality goes down to winners. Mm-hmm. People who have a winning mentality. That's mentality, and people who demand standards. You have players who've been good players, who've played at a good level, but coming to Celtic and Rangers is completely different, where you have to win, and you've got fans on your back. You know, it's a crisis if you draw a game at Celtic or Rangers, and you have to be able to deal with the expectation that comes with playing at a big club. That's what I would put it down to.
And you know, if Danny Rule was, shouting, well, that's not a bad thing, because you want to hear the manager. He wouldn't be the first manager to say, "Oh, it's not mentality," but behind the scenes, he's looking for something different, something better next season. It has to be better. This is what he said about the next campaign coming up.
Consistency and wins from the first day on. I think that's what we need to avoid all the things around off the pitch. We have to focus on ourselves, and we have to bring some things in. We need more clean sheets at the end if you want, in all the split you conceded goals. We need goals. I think we scored a lot. I don't know the table, but maybe we are the best team who's scoring. That was also a long time a question mark. We have to bring all those things together. Good players in, improve, increase our limits. And I have today a little bit tight after the last weeks, I'm honest. But in 4 weeks I will come with a lot of energy, a lot of ideas. And I learned a lot about some individual players. This is also important. Good pre-season, hard working, and then on front foot from the first day on.
Paul, some people say, is the captain's position still important? But for Rangers, whoever's going to be captain next season isn't the only story, but it's going to be massive for your club.
Well, 100%, Paul, but I'm also excited a little bit.
Good.
I'm hoping that it's going to be a fresh start. I would have liked, just like some of the pundits have said, Paul, when the 49ers came in, I always felt it should have been a brand new sweep with the cloth then. A bit like, I have thought about it all the time, but a bit like when Martin O'Neill came to Celtic. I've said this before. Celtic went through a period where, a bit like what we're going through, starved to success.
Yep.
Martin O'Neill came in, said Rangers were the benchmark, but he brought in big characters, and I wonder if you agree with me on this. He brought in like Chris Sutton, Neil Lennon. I would say they were winners then. I know they didn't win Premier League titles apart from Chris Sutton with Blackburn, but they had a winning kind of mentality. And I heard, whether it's true or not,
all right,
maybe Aiden can tell me, he played under Sutton, but apparently he came in and went, who does this Rangers think there? Who put them in their place? I want characters like that will say, what do Celtic think there? Who put them in their place? I want that.
All right,
I think you're right. Like I played with a lot of those players. I came through in that dressing room. It was that was a team. That was a team of winners. And by the way, up against a very strong Rangers team at the time as well. Yeah. But I think the difference there is though, Martin recruited a lot of players who'd already played in the Premier League. Big personalities, big characters. Do you think Rangers and Celtic can kind of still do that?
No.
Pull players up from the English Premier League. I know Chris Sutton was kind of had a bad spell at Chelsea. He brought up John Hartson. Petrov was resurgent under Martin O'Neill. Paul Lambert, but can Celtic and Rangers still do that? I think the the landscape has changed slightly on Celtic and Rangers looking for development players now, aren't they? And to find that a player who's a winner, who's going to bring success to your club and understand what it takes to play in front of the fans is difficult to gauge.
Kevin, it's impossible now, isn't it? The economics have changed completely.
It is
the money in England's so huge.
It's possible for many factors in terms of the finances in England. It's very difficult to get players up the road. Is there any outstanding leaders in Scottish football that could potentially step into Rangers? Obviously, the boys at Motherwell have done really well. But are they leaders within a dressing room? Sorry?
Yep. It's crucial.
See people like Ryan Porteous, and I know Ryan Porteous had a bit of a bad blood with Rangers, but he's the type of character who would...
He's got personality, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Winding people up. The personality, that's what I'm missing in Rangers. Like that, a bit like, what's his name? Remember, he had a bit of things with a ding dong with Alfredo Morelos. He played with Aberdeen. Oh, what was his name?
All right,
McKenna.
Defender.
Scott McKenna.
Oh, yeah, Scott McKenna. Yeah.
Scott McKenna.
And he has been available.
People like that, a bit of character blended with development players. That's what I kind of mean.
People that kind of understand the league.
Yep.
And I've played here before. No, I agree with that.
Paul, thank you so much for your call. We're going to have to move on. We've got so many calls coming in. Rory, Mum, we're moving on. Thank you so much, Paul. We're going to a Celtic fan now. Paul is on the line. Good evening.
Hi, Paul. How are you doing?
Hi, good, thanks. You?
Hi, Ian. Hi, Phil.
How you doing?
Hi, Paul.
Hi, not bad. It's been busy to try to get on.
Really? I don't know what's happened the last few days. Yeah.
Got to try to keep this all positive. And now, Celtic on the league at the weekend, obviously, I was there. It was amazing magic. Just listening to some of the kind of comments that have got on my nerves a wee bit, like from certain people saying it's not that big a deal if Celtic win the league. Oh, it's poor Hearts. Celtic win it all the time. It's not that big a deal to them. Now, if you were in the stadium Saturday, you would realise how big a deal it is. Growing up in my generation, where they never won the league for years. I think they won it when I was in primary 7, then I think the next time I was at 21. Wow. So every time they win a league or that, it's a massive deal. And I just think the kind of narrative spin, poor Hearts, that nobody at Celtic was bothered. You see that emotion in the stadium, you'll see how much people were bothered.
Yeah, I think it's very true. That was the narrative. And it's a great story about Hearts, we know it. But let's have respect for Celtic and the job that Celtic did this season, because when I checked, they had the 82 points, Hearts had 80. That's it. Let's move on a little bit from it and not, words like tarnished, tainted and all that. No place in this. The fans shouldn't have come on right at the end, but it was, look, we've been over that 100 times. But, everyone, the media played its part. Too many people, commentators, and look, we live in a democracy, only just, but we're still in a democracy. But people need to look at themselves and have a balanced perspective. So, Paul, yep, Celtic are entitled. The first words we said Monday night was congratulations, Celtic, because I had hardly really heard it in the media, because all around. And look, the fans who came on, maybe they don't listen to media outlets, but they let the club down. There's no question. And Celtic did apologise. But, Hearts' statement this afternoon, well, who is it they're calling out? And what is it? Aiden McGeady made a great point. Who is it that they want? What do they want back? They want the league. They came so close. I can only imagine how they feel. Get up and you go on, get ready for next season.
Well, I'll say it because you mentioned it. I wasn't going to bring it up. But see how quick that Hearts released a statement?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a wee kind of bit of a red flag to me as well, that they've no started thought about it. They've just let emotions get on top of them. And I think if somebody was running my club, I think you'd want them to take a breath. And I don't know if anybody else has saw it. I've never saw one image a Hearts player being assaulted. Not that they should, and people shouldn't run up to them. It's fine, right? But again, this will get painted pretty quick. And if anybody can show me a picture of a Hearts player getting assaulted, which should never happen, and I really hope it didn't happen, but there's nothing come out. So from that, I'm kind of judging it never happened. But I want to get away from that anyway.
Good.
Celtic in the cup final on Saturday, and again, big deal. It's a massive deal. Man, O'Neill doing a double again, but I just feel that I hope the narrative doesn't get spun. Nobody bothers. believe you me, the tears running down the cheeks on Saturday in the stadium. There was 60,000 people bothered. So I'm looking forward to Saturday. If Martin stays, I would like him to stay in some capacity, but I think he'll know himself. I think you need to kind of trust him. He is getting on a bit, but I think maybe he'll go away and have a wee think about it and think.
Well, he talked with his family and stuff.
Handle this again.
Paul, I agree with you because look, I do think there was a fairy tale story in there that potentially could have happened of obviously Hearts if they'd have won the league, but look, at the end of the day they didn't. It's a great story, but anybody that I've spoke to, any Celtic fans or my friends, family, they're talking about that game on Saturday like it was the best atmosphere they've ever been to. I was arguing with my friend actually, who he was saying it's the best title win he's ever seen.
Right.
He compared it to the Dundee United game on the last day of the season as well, but he was like it was better just because we were actually not winning the league with 3 minutes to go. So I totally agree, and I do understand the narrative of there's been a lot spoken about Hearts this season, and rightly so, but the job that Martin and his staff have done since taking over has been nothing short of unbelievable.
It should be his decision, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Dermot Desmond or Michael Nicholson or whatever, they need to come out. It's their business. But listen to Paul, listen to Celtic fans. Would anyone else have dragged them over the line but Martin O'Neill? Kevin, your old club Hearts would probably have been champions if Martin O'Neill didn't come back.
I would have to agree with that. It's like Aiden said, though, had they just kept Martin through that period, Celtic possibly could have won that league a hell of a lot comfortable. But they didn't, and it was. I can't emphasise how much I agree with the point of the caller in terms of we seem to be talking more about Hearts being unlucky and this fairy tale when the reality is that the goal at the beginning of the season is to win the title, and we're not talking about the title winners.
Sure.
The Celtic have went through their own kind of adversity through the season with an appointment of Wilfred Nonsi where they lost, I think it was like 4 games or 6, whatever it was.
6 out of 8.
6 out of 8, aye. And that was huge. And then obviously the January transfer window was poor. Injuries.
That's been kind saying poor.
Oh no, it wasn't poor, it was awful. I saw one of the actual January transfer signings, played him in the cup, and I'm thinking, what did you contribute to that cup?
Sure.
To be fair, it was Adamu, wasn't it?
Aye.
Who?
Junior Adamu.
Sorry,
I get it.
Aye.
He scored a goal, didn't he?
I get it,
But he scored the goal that
Yeah.
kept Celtic in the Scottish Cup
Sure.
through the next round. So, yeah,
Paul, can I ask you a question? Should Brendan Rodgers, surely he should get a medal because he had Celtic top of the table? I know then you went off the table September into October, but what do you feel for Brendan Rodgers?
No, I don't think he should get a medal, to be honest, Paul. I think Brendan Rodgers was working his ticket to get to Saudi Arabia. I don't think that was just a thing that happened. I think before he left, he had down tools by not including Trusty, never given. Sorry, I forget his name. The young guy that scored the 3rd goal on Saturday.
Sure, Osman.
I think Martin O'Neill, Osman, yeah. No, I think that. I don't think Brendan Rodgers deserves a medal, I'll be honest.
Okay. I mean, he certainly didn't down tools, and the backdrop was such chaos in the club. And young Osmond, I mean, he had them there, but he shouldn't have been in the conversation because they should have had strikers. Johnny Kenny was the other one. They sold Adam Ida as well. There was some crazy stuff. But okay, I just wondered what your opinion was on
See
it.
on the Osmond, young boy Osmond, right? And this, I might be a bit off with this one, but I don't mean it.
Not for the first time.
No. If Celtic weren't lacking in the striking department, would we have seen Callum Osman?
No.
No, you wouldn't have. No.
That's the reality.
He wasn't in the plans for this, But Celtic,
sometimes that's what clubs need. Aye. They need a gap to be filled when someone young player like Callum Osman gets a chance to showcase what he can actually do. Because, like you said, Kevin, if there are 4, 5, 6 strikers there, he's playing B team, isn't he?
What about the class of Ian Atcho? What would you do for next season, Paul? Stay with us. Aiden, I'm looking at you because you can see the class.
Yeah, I really like him. I think Martin handled how to use him very, very well towards the end of the season. I think if he'd have started games, you probably wouldn't have seen that same impact. But coming on, knowing that he's got to do a job and knowing he's got to change the game, experienced player, won things in his career. Top level striker at the height of his career. And you just see on Sunday when he comes on, I mean, he has the guile and the class and the understanding of space, the touch. Just gives Celtic a different dimension. But whether or not you're at this stage of the season, and Martin was talking about, was he fit enough to start games? I think he was being quite cute with that, because I think he knew that he was his super sub, if you want to call it that. But I really like Iheanacho, and if he can keep himself fit and still and be what he was this season, back up to another striker or a starter, get himself in the team, I would. I'm excited for next season.
See on the caller earlier, the Rangers fan that talked about mentality.
Yeah, Paul.
Iheanacho's sports mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who sits on a bench most weeks, knowing that he can't possibly make the impact he does from the beginning of the part because he's not maybe quite as fit, but understanding the magnitude of the game on Saturday, sitting on that part, watching the game, knowing that, right, I've got 25 minutes here, I've got to make an impact, and he made an incredible impact. Was unlucky not to score with the one he hit off the post, but his link-up play, his body position, that then dragged out Hearts players that allowed other players to do more important things. And for me, that's mentality. That's a winner's mentality.
Yeah. Big game player.
And big game player.
Look at his penalty against Motherwell. No one else is hitting that.
No. Everybody's backside's falling out their bum. But
and he was so cool, wasn't he?
He was so cool. Hit the side net, and amazing. That's mentality.
I'm going to finish it, Paul, with the club statement from Hearts today. You heard it earlier on, but here's actually what Martin O'Neill said at full time about Hearts.
Hearts have been brilliant this year. It's a wake-up call, absolute wake-up call to Celtic and Rangers for a start. I think Hearts have been the story of the year as well too, because they've been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. They're 6 or 7 minutes away from and this is not because of you know, but they've been 6 or 7 minutes away from winning it, and if they'd won it, they would have deserved it. There's no question about it. And as I said to you, it's easy to be patronising now at this stage. But I said this to Derek, you know, and I think he's won the Manager of the Year, and he's deserved it. He's deserved it for what he's done for that football club, and they've been terrific, really terrific.
Paul, thank you so much for your call. 0808 17 17 700.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
We are indeed in the Scottish Cuppa here on the desk in between Kevin Kyle, Aiden McGeady and me, Paul Cooney, because we're with Scottish Gas, and there'll be replicas of this at the Cup final at the weekend. Paper cups with a cup of tea from Scottish Gas. Are you a tea man, Kevin?
Oh, I'm a tea biscuit man.
You are indeed. Aiden?
Try to stay away from the tea since I stopped playing, because you always end up eating biscuits, don't you?
You do.
And it's hard enough trying to fit into suits and that now since I stopped playing. So I get the normal working person's the problems that I've had, because I've been used to playing football with girls. So coffee, yeah.
The coffee, yeah, coffee man.
Yeah.
I know when I was a young reporter going around, I was lucky to interview so many of the top names over the years. No matter where you went, or if you went to Station Park, Forfar, if you went to Ibrox, Celtic Park, wherever, it's a cup of tea. And sometimes the managers in those days, do you want a cup of tea?
Oh, was it Bovril?
No, it was tea during the week. Yeah. Anyway, how did we get into that?
I love a
Scottish cup
of tea. Yeah, we did indeed. Thank you, Rory, for the details on that. And thank you for Big Joe, who's listening into the programme and keeping us absolutely right. Thank you, Joe, who also agrees with a lot of the comments there. It's a night for Paul, who's been on Celtic fans, saying thank you. A lot of balance in there tonight. And he has enjoyed the celebrations in recent days. Because the other thing is, we don't want to talk down Scottish football. And I do find governments get involved in all the rest of it. Do you know what? They do so much for other sports. For the football, the people's game, not so sure. And they're ready to jump in, politicians. I would be careful about that. Let's police it properly ourselves. People who go to football and in the game, the clubs need to do more, no question. There are issues in Glasgow if they win, if it's Celtic or if it's Rangers now with the parties afterwards. It's not an easy issue, but it can't just be swept under the carpet, Kevin, because we hear about it just now and then it's forgotten about until next May.
I think, Paul, this season's been a unique season with the introduction of Hearts being in there with a title race. So every situation where Celtic's been involved in, whether it's been good or bad, see if you actually look into a bit of depth in that. Normally, Celtic or Rangers have the title blown out the water quite quickly. Even when they have a bad result, they're still comfortable in terms of where they are in the league, miles ahead of everybody else. This season, in particular, none of the old firm have been miles ahead of anybody. So when Celtic get that last minute, 95th minute winner at Rugby Park, they're spilling at the park, right? They're behind Hearts at that point in the league. Then you go to Rangers 2 weeks in a row. You win on penalties, and you come from two down to draw 2-2. They're also huge moments in the season. And then obviously the final part of it is Celtic versus Hearts. Last game of the season, you win the league with 3 minutes to go. So all those 3 points that have caused a lot of controversy have all been big moments in the season. That doesn't normally happen. So what we should do as a SFA and Celtic, Rangers and whatever, we need to learn from it. So that next time round, if we have this title race that becomes so close, put in better stewarding. At Ibrox, could they've had more police in presence?
Police presence,
park.
yeah.
At Parkhead on Saturday, it was very evident there was loads of stewards around the Hearts fans, just in case they were going to run the park without thinking Celtic fans may run on the park. So they're easily fixed. I just think sometimes we're going a wee bit over the top.
Like how do you fix it though? Because if a full stadium wants to get on the pitch, they're getting on the pitch unless you match it 1-for-1.
Is there a bigger moment than Saturday? And not everybody ran on the park. So for me,
this season,
is there a bigger point, bigger incident?
No, of course.
So
not.
more stewarding around would probably have stopped what happened on Saturday.
Yeah, a show of force by the policing there, and sometimes you've got to get a few of them and throw them out. You know, there's too much of this. Oh, you can't. You know, people. Anyway, it's not an easy one to fix. What do you make of Jim Gillespie at Rangers, the new chief executive, who's been saying he's called for the SFA to help bankroll a major VAR upgrade? So, I mean, one of the issues the other night was at the Celtic game. So Sky were doing the Hearts game, Hearts Falkirk, and then, which is good news, good on Hearts. Good on Sky. They said, right, let's do the Celtic game as well at Motherwell. But they had, I think, 6 cameras, whereas normally it would be something like 12 or whatever. Yeah. In England, it's 24. But I get it, it's a different scale. So there weren't enough cameras there. Rangers have said, look, I know they called clubs together last week. They want more. They want the SFA, I think, or the SPFL. I think it's the SFA to put some money in. Maybe that's money from the World Cup. The fact that we're getting some money in for a better VAR.
But will that, having more cameras, will that improve the standard of subjective viewing from the referees? Because me and Kevin were speaking off air, there's been a lot of big decisions that so VAR for me is to back up what the referee, obviously you get the odd mistake, but there's been a lot of mistakes, in-game mistakes. Go back to the last 4 weeks. Celtic have had some against them, Rangers have had some against them, Hearts have had some against them, but it's the standard of the actual officiating in the game, which I think is leaving a lot to be desired.
And great point on the 24 cameras in England. Look at Mbeumo the other day.
You still get it wrong.
Exactly. So it's never going to be absolutely perfect. Whether would you scrap VAR, Kevin?
I wouldn't scrap it because it's there to help. What I would do is I would put in different sets of rules with VAR. So if we talk about the Motherwell Celtic situation, it's probably been the biggest decision of the season. They only had one camera angle for that. So for me, I would have an introduction of, if there's only one angle, then we can't go with a decision, not even go to VAR. I think you need to have a minimum of at least 2 angles to make sure that you get the decision correct, because that's basically Hearts looking at that decision as that's what's cost us the title. Celtic's looking at that decision thinking that's really massively helped us get 3 points at Fir Park, and everybody else is just moaning about it in general. But Aiden's right, and we talked off air. Ultimately, the officiating needs to get better. That's where I see it. I think that they've got probably the most difficult job within football. But if you think of the Celtic Hearts game on Saturday, for the linesman to flag offside, that's a really poor decision. That's got swept under the carpet because he knows that that ball hasn't been played to Maeda. That's been played to Callum Osman. That if VAR doesn't intervene there, it doesn't get overturned.
It's a different story.
Without VAR, you're saying that.
That's right.
Celtic don't get that. And then you go back to the one a couple of weeks ago, Celtic Hibs, Maeda's goal.
Of course.
That showed out for offside as well. When you're 100% right. If you can't see, he can see where the ball ends up. It doesn't go to Maeda, but it still flags. Maeda doesn't touch it until the second phase of play. So If there's no VAR, then that's been ruled
And
out.
he's got away with that talking point because Celtics went on and won the league, and then the fans spilled on. Nobody's talked about that. That's a really, really poor decision.
Because the whole focus has gone on that one issue about the fans coming on, which they shouldn't have done. But see this about referees. We want better referees. Who would be a referee? Who would let their child? We've all got children, grandchildren. Would you let your child be a referee? Look at the way John Beaton was treated. The police had to go round and watch the house overnight. It's disgraceful. And people who jumped in to make comments, corruption getting mentioned. What? I've never heard that over the decades. I mean, people say, "Oh, you're pro Rangers. Oh, you're pro Celtic or whatever." But to say that and to say it's disgusting, right? I know Derek is the Hearts manager, but I mean that language absolutely disgusting. And that's all the background as well to going into the day on Saturday, the final day of the season.
Well, you talk about corruption there as well, and if anything, you would probably say, based on what you know, John Beaton would probably possibly sway more towards Rangers.
What was in it for him
to
sway towards Celtic?
What is it?
And the same for Andrew Dallas. There's absolutely nothing. And I don't think anyone saw the handball at the beginning. But then they saw it. They made a decision quickly. I've noticed some people saying, "Oh, they made a decision really quickly." I don't understand the rules fully anymore.
But then
about handball.
people get frustrated though when they take too long a decision as well.
They can't win.
So it's like they spent 2 minutes on a decision.
Yeah. So why would you be a referee? Because you can't win.
No, you cannot.
Listen, I think the Scottish FA need to introduce potentially maybe some foreign referees in certain games to kind of maybe eradicate that idea of favouritism or bias.
But you know the old gags, whatever you're for, whatever religion, whatever it is, they go, "Yeah, but is he a Rangers or is he a Celtic?" I mean, do you know what we're like? Yeah, the Clyde,
bring in the Italian,
Hamilton Ackies.
Bring in the Italian ref that crosses himself.
Even then though, like the foreign refs as well, like I don't know if you've done your B licence or your A licence, there's a part of it which is VAR. You go through it, and some of the decisions at World Cups are being replayed, and they're talking about the rules and stuff. Some of the massive decisions at World Cups they're getting wrong as well. It's just human error, isn't it? People, and without it being, if it's not offside, it's subjective. It's really, really difficult.
So that's part of the B licence now. So you sit and look at VAR and what
there's a period, there's a part on it which is VAR. It's pretty mind numbing, to be honest with you. But you do see referees making decisions, and you have a debate about it, about what you think is right and what they then say this is a decision which we think is right.
See, I remember being the captain of Kilmarnock, and we used to have to go to, every captain used to have to go to Hampden to sit with the referee and have a discussion about how they would expect the captains to conduct themselves with the referees. And I remember the head of the referee at the time, I can remember, he put scenarios on like Aiden was talking about, and in the room of a couple of referees and 12 captains, none of the captains agreed with the referee's decisions on some things. So it's different because we see it from a footballing point of view, and they see it from an education point of view of what they are designed to make a decision on. Whereas we see it as in like real time. Well, he didn't actually mean that. Whereas they don't see that human element of it.
Sorry, Kevin. Can you explain this one for me? The handball rule, which has been introduced, like anytime someone has their arm outstretched or out with their silhouette of their body, why is that seen as a handball now automatically? When you talk about Keziridis' one, right? At the weekend, it's not meant handball that.
Nope.
But why is that now a handball?
That's why I say I don't understand now what the reasoning is. Kevin, do you?
No, I don't understand it either, because for me it just seems like every time the ball hits a hand, it's a penalty.
Yeah.
Whereas I always believed that a handball, if a handball stopped a phase of attack in the box, that would be deemed a penalty. Or if a handball stopped the ball from going in the goal, that was a handball and you gave a penalty. But none of this sliding to try and block a cross that accidentally hits your hand.
So back at my I've not asked you this. You're really fair. I know you're former Hearts, you're former Rangers. You've got family members who are Celtic fans, Rangers fans, or whatever. I think you're quite unique, Kevin. I didn't know you until recent months. So you know what I'm going to ask you?
Celtic fan?
No, that's right. What did you think about that moment? I mean, Celtic probably got away with one when you looked at it, but when you look at the rules and you hear, then I believe the referees, it's a handball, because people say, no, it didn't touch his hand. Anyway, what did you think?
My first thought was, I sat with the wife and the kids watching it, and I turned around to the wife and went, "Oh wow, that could be one of the worst decisions I've ever seen."
All right.
That's what I genuinely thought, on basis of having head the ball my whole career. When that throw-in comes in, how...
Are you saying one of the worst decisions that was given, or because he just hand up?
Given, because I thought Celtic had got away with one and were very fortunate to get it. I thought that even if he had touched his hand, it would have impacted some trajectory or power in the way he would head the ball, which it didn't, because he was still able to clear it 30, 40 yards out the touchline. And if it flicks your finger and does it make a difference in the trajectory, then that would have been obvious, or it's too light to give a handball. So for me, I thought Celtic were very fortunate to get the penalty decision, but at the same time, and I said to Aiden before the show, Andrew Dallas is in that VAR room looking at that going, oh, his hand's up. I'm going to have to tell John Beaton to go and look at the monitor because I'm unsure.
Yeah. Yep.
John Beaton's him and over at the monitor and he's sitting thinking, oh my goodness, it's 92 minutes. Does Andrew Dallas think this is a penalty? I'm going to maybe have to agree with him. So because if Andrew Dallas doesn't send him over, people then question, why did Andrew Dallas not look at that?
Because it contacted his hand.
Yeah, and then if John Beaton, and then I've seen the pictures back and forth, and I've had a wee argument with people on social media and stuff, I still don't really know. Because I don't know if some pictures are AI, whether some pictures are real.
Sure, I know there was all.
I'm really unsure because it's the old picture of the football over the white line. Is it on the white line? Is it off, depending on what way you look at it.
Of course.
But for me, it's a very, very light penalty decision.
And that's the world we're in now, that they're making such a mess of the rules that it's open to this. Keep the game simple.
Yeah.
You know, the young lad, did he go up meaning to do it, but his hand was up there, the ball did hit his hand, and these days it's a penalty. So Celtic, a lot of Celtic fans, everyone would say, yeah, they got away with that at the end, but it's not Celtic's fault. The referee looked at it, they know the rules, it touched his hand.
They need to change the rules in the handball. So for that example, what I'm trying to explain is that if it doesn't touch his hand, he still heads it clear. Nothing changes. It's still going to go where it's going to go. But if it's a Suarez situation with Uruguay back in the World Cup, where he actually puts his hand up to stop the ball going in, that's definitely a penalty, red card, off you go. Have to look at the situation. What's going to come from it if it doesn't hit his hand? Whereas the Kizarides one, he's crossed it. So if that doesn't touch Kizarides' hands and finds its way to Maeda and he taps it in, then potentially you can say, right, okay, that might be denying. It's a very hard one to figure out the best way.
The wisdom of Solomon, it takes time. My point, who would be a referee? Almost impossible. We're back just after this.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
And it's the Scottish Cup final with Scottish Gas just a few days away. We're going to get the thoughts of Aiden McGeady, who's won the Scottish Cup, and Kevin Kyle as well. Came close, Kevin, but didn't quite win it. I'm just looking, but you don't disagree with me there. Before we go there, here's Callum Osman speaking about, well, the man of the moment, Martin O'Neill. What's he like to work under?
Yeah, no, he's been really good. He's been every day. I think every day when I was injured, he's asking me, how am I getting on? How's everything? And it's what you need from a manager. Just someone that sort of like is always there for you, doesn't sort of forget you're there, or like I always felt like a part of it, whether I couldn't give much to the team when I was injured, but I always felt like I was involved, and he made me like feel like I was meant to be here and stuff. So that's all you can ask from a manager. He's so funny as well. Like, I don't think, obviously you guys probably see it as well in his interviews and stuff, but in the meetings he's amazing. Like, he knows how to sort of calm us down and get us ready for games. Like, he knows when to get onto us a little bit and then when to sort of like heighten the mood and stuff. So he's amazing with it. I think he's just he knows what he's doing, and he's obviously one of the best at his job, and yeah, he's amazing.
Major rebuild for next season. Kieran's on. Aiden, he's asking you roughly how many players do you think will have to come and go? They want to get rid of some players as well. There's some loanees who'll come back. It's going to be quite a summer as soon as the whistle goes on Saturday.
I know, I heard someone say a mini rebuild the other day. I think it's more than a mini rebuild, to be honest. I think you're talking about loan players going back, and then you look at the players that are under contract. There's going to be, look, I think that it's pretty obvious for everybody involved in football, Celtic fans involved in the club. Celtic can't have another season like they had. They can't afford to have another season, and that goes back to the narrative of how close Hearts came to win the league. But if you look at the seasons that Celtic and Rangers have had, Celtic and Rangers won't have seasons like this again. They can't allow it to happen. So there's a new manager needed. There's a new head of football operations needed, and there's a squad rebuild of probably, I'd say, 10 players.
Would you like to be involved, Aiden? Because we did speak last week, if anybody missed the programme, and I was asking you about, players don't have the ability or whatever anymore to take on the defenders, get past them. So would you come back in just now?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'd love to. I'd love to do something like that. I mean, I'm still involved in football, but not in a full-time role, that's something that I really, really want to do. But I'd love to do that. I mean, look, at Celtic's a club that I came through at. I made my debut there. I won things. The club sold me on for good money. I'm still a Celtic fan. I came through the academy. Can understand what it took to play for Celtic. So I'd love to be able to help players in there to be able to try and do what I done. And look, it's not me saying, "Oh, I done this," and you look. I was a great player or whatever. It's about me. It's about me trying to pass on my knowledge and experience of playing for Celtic. Yeah, so I'd love to do it. Yeah.
Kevin, at Rangers, there's been a lot the last few days. We heard Danny Rule, might hear a little bit more. Andrew Kavanagh meeting some of the fans after the Falkirk game. But it was 4 defeats out of 5 afterwards. So what did they learn from it? They've said, it's Danny Rule for next season. I keep saying, I know there's interest in Germany for Danny Rule. His family are over there. It could change over the summer. You never know. But Rangers are saying, no, we're going with Danny Rule.
I never want to see a manager lose their job, because it is a difficult. We talked there about Arteta getting 6 years. In Scotland, you're lucky if you get 6 months. But the reality is, I think Celtic's ended up winning the league 10 points ahead of Rangers, maybe 11. Could be wrong. So when Danny Role's come in being 13 behind Hearts, what's he gained? He's gained 3 points, right? Is that big enough to say, right, we've closed the gap? No, it's not. Martin O'Neill's record against Danny Role in the Old Firm, Celtic again, 2-0 down, drew 2-2, won in penalties, and then comfortably won 3-1 at Parkhead. So that's a big question mark again. Talked about 9 cup finals, won the first 4 and then lost the next 4, and then eventually beat Falkirk on the last day. Danny Role, history of winning things, I don't see it. And the biggest thing for me is the whole James Tavernier situation. What he did to that boy, if I'm in the dressing room, I'm finding that difficult, because...
How did you feel when you heard it last Wednesday night?
When I read James Tavernier's statement and stuff, and the things he'd planned for his kids, and I know James Tavernier doesn't have the right to decide whether he starts the game, but I'm pretty sure a couple of days before the game that Danny Role came out in an interview and said that he was being backed by the board. So that meant that the Hibs game was basically a dead rubber game for him. It didn't really matter whether he was going to be there, because he was being supported by the board. So for the reason not to start Tavernier and bring him on, the whole point of that was walk out with your kids, play maybe 50, 60 minutes a game, come off to a standing ovation with the crowd in the stadium full. Listen, every single Rangers fan may not have the utmost respect for James Tavernier, but I tell you what, 95% of them certainly do. And he was a great servant to the club for 11 years. He managed to stop Celtic doing 10 in a row. He got the 55th title, which will go down a long time. And to walk away on a kind of whimper, I think that's highly disrespect. And then you see the posts and the amount of players backing the posts, and you think to yourself, how does that manager then galvanise all those players that were firmly against him for the James Tavernier situation and get them going for next year? I think he's going to have to start. He's going to have to bring in some.
That's a dressing room that's against you.
That's a dressing room that's against you. Starting to lose it. And
the one thing I would disagree on with the Tavernier situation is, I understand to be a great servant for Rangers, and it would have been great to have a nice send off. But football's a business, not a charity, and it doesn't take into account what you've done for a club, because seeing your surplus to requirements at football clubs, you're not wanted anymore. It's done. But then I compare that to, say, Seamus Coleman's situation at Everton, being at Everton for 16 years. He didn't start the game at the weekend. I know they had Europe to play for, but he then just got on with it, sat on the bench, come on for 10 minutes. I'm like, it's a bit sad in a way, because I think if Tavernier probably looks back in that, he's not got the chance to say bye to the fans, and he's not got the chance to leave on a good note. He's left on a sour note. So I would kind of disagree with the way I totally understand he was frustrated, but Danny Rowe effectively wanted to win the game, because Rangers were so poor in post split, and he went with the best possible team that he felt was going to win the game.
It's going to be some summer for both of them, because Celtic got away with it this season. I'm not talking about penalty decisions or whatever. It's what's gone wrong off the field. Who could have believed that they started the season going for the Champions League? Karat Almaty, they couldn't score. The rest was history. And because of Martin O'Neill, he turned it round. But what are the board going to do? The disconnect. Dermot Desmond surely will speak soon. I know he doesn't speak very often. He was at the game on Saturday. You wonder where the unity is going to be. And for Rangers as well, it's going to be an absolutely huge summer. Got the World Cup as well. I think the last word tonight ahead of the Cup final. I'm going to get your predictions in a moment or two. Martin and Neil, though, where did the league win, number 56 for Celtic, rank in his Hall of Fame?
Yeah, take time to think about it. I've just had done an interview with Chris Sutton, who's obviously a very, very poor judge, and but great player for me. And that was a really fine side, really terrific side. I think this here, lots of differences coming in, probably not knowing the players. So for us to go and win, it's up alongside any of those. Yeah, it is. But please, no, I don't want to sound self-effacing. It's never been my nature. But honestly, the players have done fantastically, and the coaching staff have been great. I'm just an old man wondering.
Oh, it was a bit of humour. Yeah, Callum McGregor and the team. 2 predictions then. Are Villa going to do it? Kevin, what do you reckon?
I think Villa win 3-0, and I think Celtic win 3-0.
3-0 against Dunfermline. Aidan, what do you feel?
Villa, I think, will go 2-1, and I think I'll echo Kev there and go with the same scoreline, 3-0.
You're looking forward to the Scottish Cup final?
Looking forward to it.
We'll all be there. Special day. Memories of Cup final for you?
Yeah. Managed to be in the winning side a couple of times. My first season in the first team, came on as a sub with 10 minutes to go against Dundee United. I think Alan Thompson scored the winner.
Yep.
Then I was part of the 2005. John Joe Perry of Dunby scored a slide tackle. We had one of the worst Scottish Cup final performances you've ever seen, but we beat Dunfermline 1-0. Terrible game. We played very, very poorly. But
that was the week after Helicopter Sunday, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Guys, thank you so much. Will you come back next week?
Cheers, Paul.
Heading towards the summer. If you're still here, not sunning yourselves, thank you so much. Neil Lennon might have something up his sleeve. Good luck to John McGinn and Aston Villa tonight. Thank you so much. Jokel Day's up next, and then tomorrow night we're here with Charlie Mulgrew and Mark Guidi. Have a great evening.